everyone, this is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now this is our weekly live stream where we all get together and do a live stream on whatever we want to talk about for this week. So far, just a moment. If you can hear me, just go ahead and put something in the comments. I don't think this is working.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the ground, drinking from the devil's cup. Take that pill, drink it down, flashing lights all around. High as hell, drunk like I finally don't give a fuck. 'Cause I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going how hard you might try. We can take this freedom.
All right, hey everybody. All right, sorry, a little bit of technical difficulties. If you're here in the live stream, let me know. For some reason, I'm thinking that nobody was showing up. My worst fears realized where nobody shows up. Anyway, as I was saying, if you didn't hear before, this is Overpass Live. Overpass Live. My name's Eric. I make apps. Busy week this week. Busy for me. I wasn't busy just in general, but I had like a lot of stuff this week, including I had to go to some speed awareness course because I got caught speeding for the first time ever in my life the other day. So, Biswajit, hey, how's it going? I'm glad you can make it into the live stream. So it's just been one of those weeks where I'm behind on emails, I'm behind on text messages, I'm behind on everything. So it's just one of those kind of things. So I don't know if we're getting technical difficulties here or not. Maybe it's just on my side. Let me just switch over. I'm going to try to switch to
Taking this.
all right, we'll try this one more time. For some reason, I'm not seeing anything here. So is everything working? Does anybody see anything? Or am I completely offline? See, can you see me now? Can anybody see me? Oh, there. Okay, cool. So there it is. So CH Development. Hey, how's it going? We're having a few technical glitches here. All right, cool. So you can see me now. Cool. All right, I'm just gonna not. You know what? I'm just not gonna touch anything. I'm gonna stop touching anything. And this is what happens. I start thinking. Initially, well, you know what? It's technical difficulties. Anyway, so this is Overpass Live. This is where once a week we talk about whatever we want to talk about in terms of app development, what's new, and what's emerging, and everything like that. This week I only did one video, which was on ad fraud, which I thought was pretty surprising. All the information about all the different ad networks and the fraud that's out there. Hey, how's it going? Biswajit, David, how's it going? David Popovich is here, CH Development. So like for me, this week, well, I'll tell you what I did this week. I had a few client projects I needed to get to, a bit of coding I needed to do. I have to do a game. So we have a game we need to do, and I have to decide whether or not we want to do it in Unity or do it in Corona. And I think I might do it in Corona because the specifications for the game are actually pretty loose, where the client doesn't quite know what they want, and they don't want to put a document together. And this is one of the things that could be very difficult, where I'm like, I want something in writing about what we're delivering, so that we can get it signed off. And this is something that they're very keen to get started. So always difficult. Okay, here we go. Now we have people. Hussein Gadkas, how's it going? Azimuth, hey, how are you? MD, how's it going? So we got some work. We got client work this week. I got a speed awareness course. I pride myself on the fact that I I I very rarely go above the speed limit. I mean, maybe I might creep up like 5 miles above. And I got a speeding ticket like 6 weeks ago, when everything was going wrong, like when I was just in this slump, right? And then to top it all off, I get a speeding ticket, and I had to go to speed awareness course this week, which actually wasn't too bad, but it sort of like ate into my week, where it was like, had to go and do that, and kind of a thing. And apologies if I'm sweating now, because I just got back from the gym, and my new thing in the gym is sitting in the sauna for like half an hour. I mean, after the workout, and it takes a while to cool down. So sorry if I'm sweating profusely, although it might be because of the technical difficulties, and I'm having trouble with that. So Rodrigo, hey, you made it. Mohammed, greetings from Iraq. Hey, how's it going from Iraq? That's awesome. Fist007, glad you could make it. Biswajit, good video on ad fraud. Thank you very much. And hey, Jennifer, how's it going? So the ad fraud one, I was really interested in that, because so many people have asked me about how to get around self-clicking and stuff like that, that it bothers me every time someone does. It's like they're asking me how to defraud ads, and as somebody who takes out ads, I get really angry about that, because they're going to ruin the whole platform. And wasn't quite sure what, like if that was too preachy. Like, I didn't want to be too preachy, because I what if, like, this is the kind of thing that goes through my head. What if somebody who's a subscriber to the channel, who watches the channel regularly, does that, and they're going to feel like I'm, talking bad about them? But then I thought, actually, they're doing the wrong thing. They know they're doing the wrong thing, so, it's good to talk about that kind of stuff. So, and Mohammed Wumar, how's it going? Hey, Eric, hey, how's it going? And Go is here. All right, cool. So, Fist007 says, Eric, I'm kind of stuck on a problem. How do you get the primary email address associated with an Android device? Good question. You mean programmatically? How do you programmatically get the primary email address? Or do you mean, how do you do it through settings? Because I think through settings, I can't remember how to do it on an Android device. Because I would imagine what you're saying, Fist007, is that through code, you're just saying get email address, and it's giving you the primary rather than the secondary. Is that right? I keep getting an empty string, where in fact I do not have, I do have more than one email on my phone. I've actually had this on an application before, where you have to, it was like, it was using, like, we had a phone, it was failing on email, it was actually a Cordova Ionic based application, right, where it was using the email composer plugin, and it was sending it off, and all of a sudden it stopped working on Android on some phones, and it had to do with the primary email address. And I think maybe what it was doing was, and we had to do something where we had to tell them to go into settings, and actually, rather than do it programmatically, we had to tell them to go into settings and clarify one of them as a primary setting. So have a look at that if you haven't looked at that already, because I know we've had that before. I mean, I say I've had that before. I know I've looked into that before, trying to troubleshoot an application for a client, and it was one of those ones that came to me, and I'm like, ugh. In fact, that's what I do when all the client problems come to me. At first, I kind of roll my eyes and think, oh, what are they doing wrong? And then you look at it thinking, oh, right, it's not them. It's something in the code. Something's changed, something environmental, and you're testing it out. And that's one of the hard things about bug fixing, right, is trying to mimic the conditions of the bug. So we have to give you an example, we have a iOS app in development at the moment. The developers, oh, the poor developers, they give me the test build, and the first thing I do when it opens is it crashes on my phone. And you know what? I freak out. Because I think nobody's been testing this. And it turns out it has to do with iOS 12.2 or 12.3. I mean, we assume that's what it is, because nobody else is getting that issue. And I've got an up-to-date iPhone, and they're testing on older phones. So they're going through, and they were able to test it like on an iPhone 10, and they were able to get it to, they were crashing on an iPhone 10, but not on the iPhone 6, I think, which they were using. So this is an example of testing all kinds of versions, and then just assuming that the kind of stuff that comes to you, and you assume that it's something else. So I freak out about that. So let's see. So that's it. So that was the week, really. I'm trying to think of what happened. AdMob has been normal. AdMob has been normal. I've been in conversation with Ionic. So they So that's what tomorrow's video is on, and I don't want to ruin the surprise, but yeah. So Ionic has been sending me some stats on Ionic applications on App Store, because one of my most popular videos, might be my most popular video, is about the Ionic framework and how we stopped using the Ionic framework. So my most popular video is called "Why We Stopped Using the Ionic Framework," or we no longer use the Ionic framework. And for a while, it was ranking #1 for Ionic framework, which was, in a way, so unfair to all the people who did, all the developers out there who've done like really good tutorials on Ionic. And the first video that comes up when you search for it was mine saying we no longer use it, and it wasn't a slagging off Ionic kind of video. It was just kind of like I'm worried about Apple not approving these. And so I've been talking with Ionic, and they're saying like that's it just doesn't happen. And then they sent through a bunch of stats. So that's what tomorrow's video is on. But that has been a very interesting part of the week. Just putting that, getting that kind of stuff, doing that, that kind of video. And also yesterday. So yesterday I was also I was out of the office most of the day yesterday, working with some other business owners, helping them do their videos. So doing their promotional videos. And that was fun. So I was editing most of the day yesterday, helping people get over their first initial fears, getting in front of the camera, talking to the camera, that kind of stuff. Because I'm used to it, because I've been doing it, and that's kind of And so like I was editing until I guess about 9 o'clock last night. We all went out to dinner. So I got home really late. So today's like just a weird day where I didn't get up at 4 o'clock or anything like that. So. Let's see. So CH Development saying maybe this can help. You're sending Stack Overflow on the, as far as you know. So CH Development says, as far as I know, you use Google Auth or something like that. You get the permissions when you should get access to the info. So cool. Let's see. Rodrigo says Ionic was on the Floss podcast. What's the Floss podcast? Jesse. Hey Jesse, have you made or considered making any Facebook instant games? All right, good question. I've considered it, but I haven't done anything with it, because it has to be, when I looked into it, I did a video about it because I was interested in it. I was interested in mostly along the monetization of it, because I think it's an interesting concept. I mean, it's multiplayer just built into it. So, but it's HTML based, isn't it? Because a lot of the games that we do are Corona, and that's one of the problems with using a mobile app framework, is you don't get that kind of flexibility and everything. So so that's so I mean, so I was looking at, so when I was looking into it,
can't help you with that.
Alexa, quiet. So I was looking into using Phaser. So like if you're going to do a web-based game, Impact.js is the one I used to begin with, and then Phaser is probably, I mean, it's a lot nicer, but it's a little. I think those frameworks are cool, but they're a little bit complicated, creating all the different objects and everything like that. But once you learn them, I think that it all makes sense. So let's see. BizYG says, hi, countries you first rank for an app game in App Annie. So when I first check App Annie, I always check US, because for me, US is my top market. So I'm going to bring up, what I'm going to do here is I'll show you guys my stats on this. And I'm going to show you my screen in a minute. I just want to make sure I get, I got to hide any client stuff that's on here. Just in case. It's one of the things I don't like to, I mean, this is one of the debates in the team. I don't like to talk about who our clients are. I just, like, and like, even like, we don't have an our clients page, and like in the team we talk about, we need to have testimonials, we need to have our clients, and it's one of those things where I think, I hate it when I hire a developer and then like I'm all over their website. Like if I hire somebody and then the first developer I hired, my stuff was all over their website, and I thought, don't you guys have any other clients? And it wasn't saying we did this for Overpass. It was like, we did this. This is us. Even though I hired other designers, and that really bothered me. That's one of the reasons why I don't advertise our clients. And but it's one of those things where I think it's probably, from a business perspective, that's probably a bit naive. So I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you my stream conversions, or my dashboard for analytics here on ear agent. So let's see. Can you see my screen? Okay, so we're loading up my Facebook dashboard. Oh, sorry, my ear agent Firebase, my Firebase dashboard here. Let's see. Because for me, it's the U.S. is the top market, and then it's India, and then it changes. Like the third one always changes, and for a while, the second one was always changing. For a while, it was Brazil. Let's see. So we got, yeah, here we go. So my demographics. So we got United States is 35% of mine are United States. That's why I focus on that mostly, and it might be why I get good ad revenue is because the United States is my primary one. But if you have a look at this. This is my breakdown of my users for Ear Agent, and you can see that the U.S. is 34%, India 9%, and then it's kind of split between, so Mexico, Thailand, Brazil, China, etc., etc., etc. So for a while, so let's look at this on App Annie. So let's do this. This is really good. Biswajit. We'll have to look at this so we could reverse engineer, or at least look at it from a point of this app is doing pretty well. Why is it doing well in those countries? So we'll have a look at it in App Annie here. So I have a look at App Annie because sometimes it ranks in the charts on other countries besides the main one, which is why I keep going on about being multilingual, about actually globalizing your application or localizing it, globalizing it, whatever the term is, putting it in other languages. So in order to do that, you have to code it in the right way so that you have those strings that you can replace. Now, if you're using native Android, you just use the strings.xml. If you're using iOS, you use the plist files. But if you're using something else, like you're using Ionic or React Native, there's other ways to do that. So sometimes you have to roll your own. So like for our Cordova applications, I created my own library that does it, and it's simple. You just have a get string function. You pass in the variable, it gives you back the string. That way, you could just go through and say, if you have that language, if you have that string, you return it from the function. If you don't, revert back to the English version. So you have to code it that way and not get lazy and just embed strings in labels and stuff like that. You have to make sure you go through that library, that central language library. So let's have a look at this. All right, so this is my bit. Oh, look at that, Ear Agent. All right, copycats again. So let's see. So this is how the app does. These are my screenshots, my videos, etc., etc., etc. I got my store views. I'm not going to show the well, I don't want to show the RPMs. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to show on the RPMs. And that's what it said. On AdMob, you're not allowed to show your dashboard, your RPMs, how much you're making. But you can talk about how much you're making in general, just not what you're making, because I'm sure the better apps are getting better RPMs than the less ones. So here's my breakdown by country on this one, and it's like United States at the top. Here shows Brazil coming in second. So this is kind of, why is it different? So it's a bit different on App Annie, which is weird. But let's go through and where's the one? There's one in here for charts. Where is it? In-app purchases, daily ranks, ranking history. So rankings. Here we go. It's this one. So if we have a look at, so Thailand was the third one, Brazil was the second one. If we have a look at this, the number of top 500 countries where it ranks in the top 500 is 75. And then it breaks down here a little bit further. So in Egypt, it's ranked number 106, Thailand 106, 134. In the communications applications ones, for a while it was in medical, and for a while it was like number 2 medical in Thailand for like a couple years. What I did is I changed it from medical to communication because it got suspended. right? And they were saying basically because it was masquerading as a medical app, and it's not a medical app. And I switched back to communication. But for a while, it was a good ride. So let's have a look here. So that was Biswajit. Rodrigo says, if you want to learn more about Ionic, search for Floss Weekly Ionic. Floss is equal to free Libre open source software. Yeah, I think Ionic is still going strong. I mean, in my opinion. Ilir Ali says, hello guys, my name is Ilir and I want to make apps. Awesome. Cool. That's what us too. Jesse says, can you not export to HTML on Corona now? For the longest time, they were advertising it, but I've never seen a way to do it. I'm not sure. Can you? So let's have a look at Corona Labs on the screen share. Just look at Jesse. All right. Because I think... For a while, it was. They said it was coming soon for like a long time, but I've never actually seen it like available. Because they had Corona cards, they had Corona. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, Jesse. Let's see. Manjot Singh says, where are you from? So I'm American. I grew up in San Diego. I live in England now. I live in on the outskirts of Oxfordshire. Jesse says, if you don't mind me asking, what was the quote for the first project you did for someone? Mine was 2,500. Jesse, it was about the same. It was like 3,000, right? And it was like my first quote was like 3,000 pounds, and I thought, that would just be like that. Surely you can get it done in that amount. And it took a lot longer than I thought it would because it was my first quote. And I'm thinking from a logical, technical point of view. How long was it going to take to do technically? And I didn't put no thought into design. I thought, okay, we design it, design resources, and we do, we'll just, there'll be no feedback. There'll be no scope creep. There'll be no nothing. And it was, in the end, I think I probably did lose money on it or just scraped by because I was also working a contract at the time, so it wasn't so much a bad thing to lose money on it. I mean, it's always a bad thing to lose money on it, but it wasn't so it wasn't devastating. Like I didn't have to sell my house or anything like that. So that wasn't so bad. But yeah, it was about the same. And now it's I won't do anything for less than. I say less than 6, but I think even that's starting to go up, and that's something that you look into. So sometimes somebody will come to us with a project, and it's just a short thing. Like they have an existing application, they just need a bit of things done to it, some label changes or whatever, and it depends on those ones. Because it's too much. It's too small a project to me to go to another developer. It's going to take too long to explain. They're going to milk it for all it's worth, whatever, right? And so, but if it's something I could do, just knock something out, then I'll do it. But it's difficult. So you say, okay, all I need is this label change to this, from this to this. And you go, okay, it's going to take me whatever, an hour to do that, compile it, do the screenshots, update whatever, or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, right? And so you charge appropriately. But then they come back and say, actually, can I also change this? Can I also change this? Can I also change that? And once that number's out there, it's difficult. But you have to, it's just kind of being in charge of that. But yeah, exactly. It was almost the same, Jesse. And I don't think that's enough. And well, it depends on the project, really, I suppose. Harish Devanyagam says Ionic versus Flutter. Flutter probably. I think it depends on what you're doing. So if you need progressive web apps as well, then Flutter is not the way to go. Although it might be in the future with Hummingbird. Every time we talk about Flutter for the web, Hummingbird comes up, but we haven't seen that yet. I don't think that's been released yet, has it? So I don't think it has. I haven't seen anything recently, but I've read a lot about it. So I think at some point it might be a competitor, but you also have you also, I mean, browsers support JavaScript. So even the Hummingbird stuff, I don't know how that's going to work unless Dart gets not transcribed, what's the term they use? They have that term that they use within React Native, like transpile. Transpile, is that it? So it doesn't do that into Java. So if it does that into JavaScript, then you might as well just use JavaScript, because then you can grow with the platform. But then I think that Flutter will do much better on mobile devices. So it depends. It really depends on what you're trying to do. If you have a client that wants to have, okay, we want to have the mobile application, and we also want to have the website in case they want to just go web, and we also want to have this, we want to have that, and we want to, then at that point maybe you might want to look into going Ionic on that one. But I still have my fears about, some of my fears about Ionic on that one too. But I think Flutter's, it's new, it's exciting, it's very fluid. You got a higher frame rate on it, so it really depends on what you want to do. CH Development says, just something interesting I learned recently when it comes to apps. As long as you don't see your app building as a business, you won't really be able to grow. So, yeah, no, I suppose that's true. You have to, I used to see it as a hobby, but viewing it from a business point of view, I realized where and how I can grow my apps. That's cool. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, if you, I'm in a strange situation where I almost don't think about my apps as part of Overpass, because I spend so much of my time doing stuff for clients that I don't think about the app so much on that side. And I know that sounds bad, because it brings in a large part of the revenue, but it's also, I don't have to think about it that often. And I probably should look at it more often, because whenever there's a new, just to optimize them more often than I do. I used to tinker with them almost daily, and I haven't done that in a while. Jesse says, yep, need to treat it as a business for real, especially these days. Yeah. When it was in its infancy, you could get away with treating it as a hobby and still make a decent living. Let's see. Genius Nepali says, how much time do you spend on making those mini apps like formula apps? So those are actually pretty simple. So like if you create a framework, like if you do, there's a game that I need to do for a client this week, and I think it's going to take 5 days. And I say 5 days because I think it's going to take 3 days, just in terms of the technical side of it, right? And they're providing all the graphic assets. But you have to quote higher, because that once they see the first version, they're going to come back with a second version. They're going to come back with some sort of feedback. Or even though I think it's going to take 3 days, maybe it takes 4 days, maybe it takes 5 days, maybe it takes 6 days, and then I'm screwed. So it's, but that kind of stuff, depending on how simple it is. I think if you were going to do something that was actually, like, you had lots of levels and a storyline, and When I talk about doing a game that takes 5 days, it's insulting to the people out there who are making really big, complicated games, right? Because that's not how long it would take them. They put the heart and soul into it. And if, like, from my side on this one, it's like a quiz-based game, so it's not so difficult. It's just based on time and stuff like that. So that's something that shouldn't take too long. Chanel says, "Hey Eric, hey, how's it going, Chanel? Let's see. Rick Calvert says, "Hey Eric, is Apple dying video was on point. Cool. Yeah, thanks. I wonder about Apple a lot. I wanted to do one on, like, every time we meet with people and they say, I just want to, like, I have clients that's come to me and they say, we just want iOS because nobody really uses Android, right? And it's like they're in a bubble. They're in a bubble of the people around them. So, like, for me, I think everybody uses Android because I use Android. When I see other people's phones, I use iPhone now, but I've been an Android user. So when I see other people's phones, I notice if they're iPhone or Android. So that's like how their perception goes. So when I tell them that 80% of the market is pretty much on Android, they're really surprised. But so then your assumption would be, well, let's not do iOS then. But it depends on the country. So in the U.S., iOS is is higher on that side. So it's like, and that's why you can't ignore iOS and you can't ignore Android. They're pretty much neck and neck, depending on where you're releasing to. And it's for some of you guys out there who just do Android, and mainly, and I could get it, because iOS is a pain, right? You have to get a Mac. You have to do everything a bit differently. You have to go through the App Store. You have to go through the review process. It's a bit of a pain, but it might work out better for you, especially if you have something that's really working well on Android. But for me, most of my revenue comes from Android. Let's see. Harish says, I'm unable to use Google authentication in Ionic 4 using Firebase. I am under a tight schedule doing an app for my university event. Any solutions? But surely that's nothing to do with Ionic 4, is it? I mean, what's holding you back in terms of the platform? Or is it something that has to do with, because it's web-based, right? Chanel, yo. Let's see. This email, the email thing is driving you crazy. Won't work. Never mind. I'll ask the email address at the app startup. It's like when you have a bug like that and you can't figure it out, it does drive you crazy. It's kind of thing where we have to kind of. I think you have to. Like, even if you show somebody the code, they would have to go through and look at it. I think I've had something similar on that, but I just can't remember. It's like it's such a small thing, but it's the kind of thing that I think I spent like at least 3 hours trying to figure that thing out. Renzo Coppola says, I'm about to start cleaning the presentation. What do you think about this? All right, we have an app to look at. Let's see. So we're going to look at this app for Renzo Coppola. Let's see, open a new tab. So, all right, so this one's for Renzo, which the app is called Range Sniper Game. Okay, cool. So we got Range Sniper. Play the video. Okay, so my first thing, Renzo, on this is like you're obviously using the emulator, because I can see the pointer going here, which is fine. I mean, your video is doing what it should do, which is showing people how to use the application. But if you could use something like, if you could find something like Phone Finger, and do it that way, that might look really cool. And have a bit of music on here. I guess we don't have any music on there. You've got the sound effects of the game, and just have some. I mean, you're showing what it does, but if you could sell it a bit more, like, and you could go onto something like Audio Jungle and find some really cool music, and also some different stuff on these screenshots. So what makes Range Sniper Game different than others? So first of all, you're using game in the title, which I'm wondering whether or not that's a good thing, because game, you're never going to rank well for the term game. So you could try something else like Range Sniper Adventure, but it depends. So, but if that's what you want people to see, if there's other things out there, that might be good. So let's have a quick look at this. And how long has this been out? So 15 May, so just a couple days. So we won't bother looking at this at App Annie. So if I go to, let's go to Range Sniper. All right, so so you're ranking. Well, if you Range Sniper, if that's a term, but I would imagine it'd be sniper range, right? Well, I guess it'd be Range Sniper. But it's okay because you're still ranking there. So if you're doing sniper, if we did sniper, so you're not. So yeah, but you're not doing too bad. I mean, sniper is going to be a very competitive word, so you're not doing too bad on that. But I just think that if some people are finding that, so if you look at your Renzo, if you look at your acquisition, your user acquisition report on Google Play, what does it tell you? Does it tell you people are actually hitting that? Are they finding the search terms? Let's give you an example on. I'm gonna give you an example on mine. Actually, let me just flip away, just because. Just make sure there's nothing on here I don't want to show. We're gonna go to my Google Play console. Actually, I think we're okay. I think we've done this many times before. So open up Google Play, and I'm going to show you my user acquisition report, because again, we talk about this every week, but I think it's such a good report to look at, and to look at regularly. So let's go Ear Agent Super Hearing. And my only fear about showing this on the video is whether or not the copycats are going to do something like steal my keywords or whatever, right? So let's go through user acquisition on the left, acquisition reports. And this is the important part. This is the stuff that you need to look at. So how many store listing visitors are you getting? So you're ranking well, but how are people finding you? If you are getting people to your store visitors and you're not getting this, you have to think. So again, and I apologize if I say this every week, but if they're not hitting here, it's because the keywords are wrong and the icon is bad. Because that's what, if they're searching, if it's showing up and they're not interested, maybe the icon is bad. If it's not showing up in search, then they're either not looking for it or it's not ranking well. So if they do hit this bit, which is really what you want, then if they're not hitting this, it's because the screenshots are not compelling. It just doesn't look interesting enough, right? And then that way you have to do it. So the last thing you want to do is go through and say, nobody's downloading my app. I'm going to change the home screen on the app, right? Because nobody's even making it to that point. Or I'm going to change my screenshots. But you have to look at this because you get a lot more information. Now, one of the cool things that came out, I guess it was last year, or I can't remember what it was, but I did a video about it, is that now you could do the search. And it's not for all of them, but like here I can see what are people searching on, and based on the first time installers, how are they finding it? And this is really powerful because you get to see how people are actually getting to yours. And this is one I probably shouldn't show you because the copycats out there might try to target those keywords and steal my thunder, but that's just one of those things. It's if you can see, if you get a bit of success and you can see what's working, then everything's better. So if I look at this keyword spy, now I don't rank #1 for spy anymore, at least not in the UK. But it doesn't give you it over time. But this is something, if people are hitting this and it's 12.4%. So obviously people who are searching for spy aren't all that interested in it. If they're looking for a spy app, maybe a bit more. If they're doing ear spy, they're obviously looking for it. They've heard of it and they're finding it. So anyway, just that report is super interesting, and if you don't look at it regularly, then you should. I mean, you should. So Be Smart says, "Hi Eric, how do I sell an app and I give him just the APK or upload it in his Play Store console or my end? And what about improvement? I take money on every update." So yeah, Be Smart. What I would do is, what we do is I say, give me access to your Google Play account. Not give me the password, but go into settings, add user, go into Google Play, settings, and then roles. What was it? I'm just gonna have a quick look here. I'm not gonna show you my screen, but I'm gonna show. You go to settings, and oh, so slow. Users and permissions. You go into settings, users and permissions, and then you can add users through there, and you can add which apps you want to give them access to, whatever. So you need them to set you up as a user through users and settings, users and permissions on their Play console, and then you just upload it for them, because they're not going to know what to do. You have to sign it. You have to make sure they get that. But then what we do is, we'll upload it for them. We'll even do the screenshots. We'll do the screenshots. They should do the description, but occasionally there's just no idea what to put. So sometimes I'll just write the description too. But it's not part of the service. It's just all right, they don't know what to write. So how about we write this, and then I'll write something. All right, so we'll do that and we'll upload it. And because they're not going to know, I mean, depending on how technical your clients are, they're not going to know to put a 512 icon on there. They're not going to know how to fill in they're not going to know how to fill anything in. Everything's going to be, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? And you know how to do it. So it's better if you do it. give them access to the source code so that they can fix it themselves if they want. And if they need anything else, if they need an update, then yeah, they can come to you and do it, unless you have some sort of long-term support contract with them. So yeah, Genius, that's really how or sorry, who was that? Who asked that one? But yeah, oh yeah, it was Be Smart. So yeah, Be Smart. I would that's what I would do. See, Jesse says for the HTML5 option, the is in the beta version of Corona. Apparently, they're using WebAssembly to convert it from Lua. Let's see. Pavlov Doobie says, will Flutter replace Java? No, I don't think it will ever replace Java. Java has been around for a long time. I don't even think it will replace Android development, because Flutter is it's different. I mean, it doesn't do everything that Android development should do. In fact, you still have to sometimes go into Java or Kotlin to do any low-level stuff and write your own plugins for that. So, but it's a nice what is it, presentation layer, I think, in almost in the same way, almost very similar to a Cordova-based app. Right, you have the plugins that go to whatever they do, but I think it integrates a lot better. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay. Rakesh Singh says, any monetization platform if app distributed through website? That's difficult. I mean, yeah, you could do it, but you have to make sure that your users understand it. You see a lot of applications that are paid through through websites because they can get around the whole in-app purchase thing. So an example would be Headspace. I mean, Headspace. That's one example. There's like loads of them, right? So they, rather than have the purchase available through the website, they just say, leave the website, or through the application itself, you can leave the website and register, and then that way you have something central, right? And what it should be, I mean, you shouldn't have to do that because it's not a digital product. But if you were going to do it that way, then I would say, yeah, it is. But you have to set up Stripe or PayPal or whatever it is to do it. Let's see. Ada Mac. Hey, dude. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Farouk Balade says, sends me his app here. So let's have a look at this app for Farouk. Open a new tab. Neil, you still with me? See. Neil's watching over there. He's so the messages that are coming every so often, the helpful messages are coming from him. So Farouk, is this the one we looked at last week? I think we've seen this last week. You just included a link, and I don't know. I can't see what's changed. So I think you're gonna have to help us out a little bit there because I can't remember exactly what we did, but if you want us to criticize something there. Boris says, hey, Eric, check my app. It's almost a month on the store and almost no users at all. Don't mind the reviews, those hater developers from a similar app. All right, Boris. So, Boris, what is the app? Okay, here we go. So, this is... if you just got bad reviews, let's have a look at it, though. So this is for Boris Legovich. Is that how it is? Punch Club Boxing Tracker. Oh, this actually looks pretty good. Punch Club Boxing Tracker. Ooh, Punch Lab is 10 times better than this ripoff. Terrible copy of existing app. Didn't bother to changing images. Nice app. You put a phone on the punch bag and start the workout. Simple and easy. So we've got 1 good review and 3 bad reviews. Okay, now see now I'm kind of curious here, Boris. So let's have a look. Punch Lab looks like what? Actually a couple called Punch Lab. So Punch Club, Punch Lab, only on some apps. Punch Lab for gym, Lean Factory. I want to have a look. So what is it? The way that it says even use the same images, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. Wow. So yeah, this is this is a problem. You should look at maybe reporting those users if that's genuinely what they're doing, is trying to, if it is a competitor trying to sync your app, then that is serious. So you should get it sorted. I also think your description should be a bit longer. On a side note, let's see. So because this is something that with a 2.6, it's going to be very difficult, Boris, to get people on board. I mean, it'd be very difficult just to anybody looking at the application with the 2.6. I mean, get as many people as you can to go through and leave a decent review on this. If you have to beg and plead with them. Let's see. So we've got Kulwinder Rahal says, "Hi, I want to show progress saying displaying ad before showing Google interstitial ad. I will show the ad for 5 minutes interval. Is it okay with Google guidelines?" I'm not sure. You have to check on that because I'm not quite sure what you mean. I want to show progress bar saying displaying ad before showing the ad, interstitial ad. I will show the ad for after 5 minutes interval. Is it okay with Google guidelines? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure I get that one. Kulwinder. Green Boy says, "What is a critical thing that makes a better app for services goals?" What is a critical thing that makes it for services goals? You mean like? Sorry, Green Boys. What do you mean by services roles? Do you mean like? In my mind, I keep thinking about service, like the gas station or the petrol station, right? That's what keeps going through my mind. But services goals, yeah, Green Boys. If you could elaborate on that, that'd be good. Palav Dubi says, "Should I switch to Flutter from Java?" I think there's. I don't think that you need to be all or one. I mean, you should be. I mean, it's okay to have two different languages, right? You're not going to be an expert on both of them, but you could be like the expert on Java with an understanding of how Flutter works, and then you could use Flutter when it's time to do Flutter, and use Java when it's time to do Java, because I mean, it depends on what you want to do. If you're releasing an app, then I would say go with Flutter, because then you can do both platforms. If you're doing your own stuff, if you're looking for a job, then look for what's available there, because you might be able to get paid a lot more as a Java developer or a Flutter developer, probably a Java developer, just because that language has been around a long time and there's lots of legacy systems that you can work on. Let's see. Aiden Max says, "I don't think you can get the primary email address from a device that's a privacy issue, which Google doesn't allow. They don't allow you to get the device serial number for that reason in Q." Okay. Let's see. Genius Nampali says, "I made an Android app with AppGeyser and published in Play Store. The app was about providing news and notices about entrance exams into medical students in my country. I got 1,000+ data, but I didn't update the app. Do you think it'll be a success if I do it properly?" I don't know if you got 1,000 downloads. It depends. 1,000 downloads plus data. 1,000 plus data. It really depends. I think if you use AppGeyser, which I think is AppGeyser an app builder software. If you use that, then it's a good way to test it. So, how did it do when you put it on there? I mean, at least you could test the market. You could look at the acquisition report. Even if people aren't downloading it, you can see if people are searching for it. And then that's a good way to test that market. Let's see. Renzo says, "I didn't know about user search history data." That's great, Eric. I'll look into that. Cool. GetUsTM says, "Hey, currently my game is Cloud Avoider. Would it be a good thing to change it to something like Cloud Avoider Infinite Runner to improve rankings?" I think you should test that. I really think you should, because if somebody's searching for that, then yeah, definitely. I think that I mean, you have the title of your app, and then you have the again, we talked about this before. I mean, look at the screen right now. To give you an example, this is Boris's app. I think it's Boris. Yeah, it's Boris, right? Boris's app, Punch Club Boxing Tracker, right? If he just called it Punch Club, he would miss out on these other keywords here, it really helps. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's the name of the app. I'm sure, underneath the icon, I'm sure it doesn't say Punch Club boxing tracker, although it might. But like, this is something I do all the time. I'm always changing the title a little bit, trying to rank for different types of stuff. So, but yeah, I think test that out. Try it out for a week. See what happens. I mean, I think you could do that in a Google Play experiment. Can't you? You could change the title slightly, and you can see how that works. But it depends on if you're getting the traffic through. Experiments, the A/B testing only really works if you already have some traffic coming through. Let's see. Adamax says some acts, e.g. Cineworld Cinema app, does not use in-app purchases for ticket sales, but use a web view for credit card payments. Is this something we could all do to avoid a 30% Google charge? Yeah, I think the rule is if it's a digital product that you use within the app, then it is an in-app purchase. But if it's something physical, say like Uber, then yeah, you can do those external payments. However, if you look at something like Amazon, if you use the Amazon app on iOS, on Android, I haven't used the Amazon app on Android in a while, but I used to. And I used to like the fact that I could just go buy something. Like I could buy the Kindle app. I could just go through and buy an ebook, right? And now if I try to do it on my iPad or my iPhone, it says I could add it to my wish list, and I could go to Amazon website and then purchase it, and then go back in and download it. The same with Amazon Prime if I wanted to buy a video. Right, and it's just the way that they do that. So I mean that, and I always thought, man, if Apple's going to be that difficult with Amazon, like if Amazon can't make it work, then what chance do the rest of us have? So if they have to go that route by having a website to take payments, then yeah, that's probably what we have to do. Let's see. Palav Duby says, does Flutter really require 25% of code as Java does? I don't know. I think it would probably depend. I mean, is that? I don't know. I haven't heard that stat. Yanka Belarus says, hi, have you used A/B testing for App Store images description? I don't understand how to do it with built-in A/B testing functionality like Google Play have. I have not done it on iOS. I'm not sure. Do they have that now? I don't think they've ever really had that. And the thing about changing screenshots on iOS is you have to release a new build and everything. But I've never done it on iOS, on the App Store. And Palav Duby says, what topic should I be comfortable with to apply for Google Associate Developer? In terms of Flutter or Android, Flutter or Java, I would go with Flutter. So there's two ways of looking at this. You can look at, I'm going to do what there's a lot of jobs for, so I'm going to go with Java. Or you can say, I'm going to do what there's not a lot of jobs for, so there could potentially be a higher demand for it and more pay for it because there's not a lot of supply, and then you could go for Flutter. But that's a risk. So I think, Palav, you have to think about that one. Amandu 72. Hey, were you born in 72? Just like me. Hey, how is your using Flutter coming along? God, did you recommend a channel about Flutter that was in Hindi? No, I didn't do one in Hindi because I don't know any of the ones in Hindi. But no, I think the ones that I looked at were just the ones that I found really useful. So okay, I actually did do a bit of Flutter this week. This is the Corona app. So this game I was gonna do, and I coded 5 days for it, and I thought the first thing I thought was. The question was, do I give this to developers, and they're not necessarily game developers. The specifications are not really tight, so we have to have a bit more time, and this is a really short project. We just don't have a lot of time on it. So if I do it myself, I'm trying to, God, do I have time to do it? I could work on weekends, I could work on nights, and just get this thing done. Take me about 5 days. Corona, I know Corona really well. I could do it in that. But then it creeps into my head thinking, no, I should do this in Flutter. And then I start doing it in Flutter, and then after 3 hours, I just it'll be faster doing Corona. So I bailed on it and went back to do it in Corona, which is it's that initial. I mean, that's the same when you learn any language. You have that initial bit where it's hard, but I just didn't have the time to do it in that. Like, I was almost like, this would have been a perfect opportunity, and I'd be paid for it because it's a client project to learn that. But then, you know, we always mess up when we learn new languages. So first, I want to be fair to the client, and it was just taking too long. And it was like the little things. I mean, just little things like I added a package to the pubspec.yaml, and then I removed it, and then I tried to clean it, and it just wouldn't go away. And in the end, this is like, because I'm trying to think, what is it that I've done wrong here? And you guys might just tell me right away because I'm new. I'm a newbie in this, right? In the end, I just created a new project and just copied all the code over to it because I was like, screw this. You know, that's, you know, I'm still learning. Let's see. Farouk, is this your app again? Let's see. Is this the HD wallpaper? So what do you think? I think, Farouk, is this what we looked? You say, what do I think about it? This is the one we looked at last week, right? So, yeah, I don't want to. I mean, if something's changed, let me know so we can have a look at that. But David Popovich says, "Hey Eric, I'm currently a corporate developer and I work on side projects at home. Cool, good idea. I did that for a long time. Thank you for creating your YouTube videos. They help me to stay positive and keep working towards my goal of being an independent developer." Cool, and that's awesome. I mean, this is the best thing you can have is a corporate job. I mean, a corporate job is not the best thing you have, but it's like it allows you to be single-minded on the code. So like you're gonna have things when you're at work, even though you could be doing something like, so let's say you're a game developer and you're doing stuff and you're like at work you do transactional systems with SQL Server and ASP.NET or something like that. It's still code, right? It's still thinking through logic and processes. And then when you get back to the other stuff, you know how to, like you learn something really abstract like the singleton pattern because it's part of it's part of code, right? And you're thinking, how could I apply this into the game framework or whatever? So I think they would complement each other even if they're not the same language. But that's the way that I always found it. So let's see. Fist007 says, Eric, I was wondering how long did it take you to learn Ionic, and how hard is it to wrap your head around its concepts? Thank you. It actually doesn't take too. The nice thing about Ionic, so I got into Ionic, it was version 1, but I didn't know Angular, so I wasn't an Angular guy. So I got into it, and the nice thing is when you start it, it gives you that the demo project. So every time you start it, it gives you a bunch of test data, which you have to go through and delete. But that's the same thing that Flutter does. You get that little thing saying you click this button this many times, but the code is all commented, so it just sort of leaps you into it and getting you started. So, and from that, rather than say, I'm going to read this big book on Ionic, or I'm going to read this big book on Flutter, you could just leap right in, and then you're kind of, I just need to figure out what I need to do for this next thing. The nice thing about reading a book or taking a course is like you get a full, like if you're let's say I'm trying to think of an example, like an analogy, like if I'm a builder, right, and I know that I need to use a hammer, so I just look up a video on how to use a hammer, and I don't look at like what type of hammer to use or what would be a good hammer for this situation, or like I just like, all I know is I need a hammer because there's a nail there and I need to hammer this nail in. How do I use a hammer? But if you were like like an experienced construction worker, I don't know if this is true or not, there's all kinds of different hammers for different things. Like that's the kind of thing I would think. So like if you have a more well-rounded and you read a book on it or do a course, that's good. But just to get started, like it's good to make progress because it keeps your enthusiasm up. Like the thing about Hello World programs at the beginning of books is it's so boring, right? But they try to get you like, hey, congratulations, you created your first app. And you're just like, no, I didn't. It just says Hello World. That's all it does. But that's just me. So let's see. What do we got here? Pallav says, Google official docs versus Stack Overflow. You're very big on the versus here, isn't it? I would say go official docs until something goes wrong, right? I've never gone on to Stack Overflow that was not through Google, right? I don't like Stack Overflow is a great resource, but every time I get to it is because I pasted a because I pasted an error into Google, and then I get to Stack Overflow. And you know what? I'm always amazed that there's people out there, because I don't think I've, God, I don't know, should I admit this? I don't think I've ever posted on the Stack Overflow, right? I know I should, right? But like the people who go on there and just answer questions, I've never done that. And I'm always amazed that there's like every error you get, it's there. So yeah, so let's see. Mandu says, in your video, favorite Flutter resources, one of the YouTube channels you mentioned mixes English and Hindi. Does it really? I thought it was having an aneurysm before I realized what was going on. The video that I watched was not in Hindi. So, but yeah, it might be. There's other channels there in Hindi. Let's see. And then Pallav Dubey says, does Google certification for app developer really worth it? I never had it, right? It depends. Like, I was Microsoft Solution. I was a MCSD, Microsoft Certified Solution Developer. And that was like a huge thing at the time. Like, this was like early 2000s, and I took all these, like, you had to take like four exams to get it. And I got so nervous. It was like a huge thing to me because I was going to be an MCSD, and I would be more marketable mainly because I didn't have a computer science degree, so that was huge for me to have an MCSD. But like, there's all these other certifications, and when you're doing your own applications, you kind of don't care about that kind of stuff anymore. And if you go for a job, like the other certifications I have is probably just Scrum Master. I did a Scrum Master certification, and like, you could learn from a book, but if you go to the course, then you have I'm an official Scrum Master, and that's like, I could put that on my CV and everything, right? So it's good. So I mean, if you're looking for a job, I think it's probably worth doing. But if you're not looking for a job, I wouldn't worry about it. Just learn what you need to learn. Michael M said, I'm super excited for full platform development via Flutter. Just deployed a Flutter app to Apple and Google stores with a couple of alpha users, hoping to be in beta by Monday. That's fantastic. You're way ahead of me, Michael. I'm all talk. I'm all talk when it comes to Flutter. I really need to get into it. Yankabella says, what technologies do you prefer for mobile backend? I'm a Node.js guy, mainly because I like JavaScript. I like the cleanliness of Node.js. Yeah, all the way. I'm not I don't like PHP. I did ASP.NET for such a long time that I like C#, but not ASP, not the web form kind of stuff, but like just or ASMX kind of stuff. I like on there, but I think I like Node.js. That's just me. And a lot of the platforms out there are very similar to Node.js. If you look at Cloud Functions and Firebase and everything, it's like transferable. I'm gonna have to get going here in a few minutes, guys. So I'm gonna have to ask for no more questions. I'm gonna have to ring the bell. Ding ding. Last orders. If you have a question, let's hear it now. Let's see. Michael M says, also deployed a simple Flutter app to the web and can't wait for full Firebase support, but to bring it in more features via web app. So, Michael, can you do Flutter apps via the web now? Is that available? I know I should know this because I know it was going to do it. Ravi Kumar says, I skipped your question. All right, Ravi. Sorry about that. That was not intentional. Let me go back up. Actually, Ravi, can you just paste it in again because I can't see it? Please. Rifat, hey, Eric. I had some progress in the storyboards, had a chance to think about mentoring. It was great to meet up in London. I could come over to Oxford, London, Cambridge. I hope to start mentoring sessions. You know, Rifat, the one phrase you said, so I met with Rifat in London last week. And the one phrase that Rifat said to me that I keep remembering over and over again, he said, we were talking about a project, and I kept thinking about the how. And he says, stop, think about the where, don't think about the how. Think about where you want to go, and don't be so focused on the how just yet. And that was, I keep going back to that. That was I've been meaning to send you an email to say that was like, one of those things I keep remembering. Let's see. Tuari says, do you watch other app developers' YouTube channels? Yes. Well, yeah, I'm a React Native developer myself. Best app, 400,000 downloads. Cool. Looking for other mobile developers documenting their journey like you. So yeah, Tuari, I watch a few. And it depends on not so much coders, although Nick Raboy for a while I watched a lot of his stuff when I was doing more Ionic stuff. Um, I watch App Masters, Steve P. Young. I watch some of his stuff. It depends on when it pops up, and I think it looks like an interesting topic. I'll watch it. Just to think maybe there's something there I can learn. I watch. God, I'm blanking on this. Who else do I watch? Occasionally, I'll see Stephen Mischuk's videos. Although they seem to be a lot about, like always, what language should I learn in 2019? It seems like that seems to be the topic that seems to be on there a lot. Who else do I watch? I still have John Sonmez, but I know he's not really a developer anymore. He's more alpha male kind of thing, and that's where I'm going. I'm going to go to the alpha male route. After this, after I'm done with the coding, I'm gonna bulk myself up. So I watch him, and who else? Oh, lately I've been watching Tech Lead. Although it's not so much like these guys. They're more like developers, but they're not. They're not working on the actual code and stuff like that. So I just find those ones interesting, and I think I look at them interesting because part of it they think, wow, their channel's doing really well, right? Like even though I was doing videos every day, I was like, it's not so much. And I was like, what are they doing? How are they, how are they doing this kind of stuff? So that's one of the stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that I look at. So what about the rest of you guys? What other channels besides this one do you guys watch? In terms of like app development and software development? Because that would be interesting to know. Maybe we might get some good ideas. Like some other channels to watch, and maybe we could do some collaborations. The only collaboration I've ever done on this channel was with Steve P. Young, and it was so hard to schedule it because he's in California and I'm over here in the UK, so it was like 8-hour time difference. Mondu says, just one more question. Do you know if there's a UI builder for Flutter similar to what Xcode has for Swift iOS? I don't think there is. In fact, I like the fact that there isn't. I've never liked UI builders, right? Because it's never accurate, and because you have that fast reload time, you don't need to do that. So I've never been a big fan of that. I wasn't a fan of it in the job. I wasn't a fan of it in Android. I'm not a fan of it in Swift or in Xcode, and even in Corona. One of the things I liked about Corona is they didn't have a builder, and then they came out with one. So, but that's just me. I kind of like the idea of just change something and it goes. So you've got your emulator and you've got your code window, and I'm just saying, plus 2, whatever, x is equal to x plus 2, and just moving things over as long as it's quick. Now, if you're doing a game in Corona and you have like all these setup screens, you have to like mock it up so you go straight to that game screen. Otherwise, it drive you crazy to have to go back to the beginning, start, change your level, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's just me. Ravi Kumar says, just saw your video about Firebase dynamic links and thinking of using them in my recently released app. Has your experience changed with them now? Yeah, I think they've actually, I've done a follow-up video to that. They've actually removed dynamic links. I'm just using cross-marketing for now. I think they've moved dynamic links from Firebase, and I'm not sure if but it's the kind of thing you should be able to do. If you have, if you want to do your own dynamic link, just have a link, and then when it gets to it, check the headers and find out what kind of device they're coming through, and then send them to iOS or Android. But it was nice to have something in Firebase that did that for you. But I think they've disabled that, Ravi. Let's see. Stephen Muschuk, that's right. Stefan Muschuk. Dan Martell. I don't think I've seen Dan Martell. Okay, I'll have a look at that one. Thanks, Fist. Thanks, Fist007. Yank Belarus says, how to encourage iOS users to write reviews. They just give stars and rate, but not text reviews. Opposite to Android users. You know what? Have you tried to give them like a suggestion? Like rather than say, please review our app, please rate our app, say, please tell. Let's see. Like for me, the language learning apps. I've done this in the past where I say, tell the world how much you love learning Chinese by leaving a review for this app or something like that. So it's not so much about say something good about me. It's like say something good about you. Tell people how much you like this app. I mean, that might be something, just to give them a little thing. And I would say give an example, but I'm not sure if they would reject that. I've never given an example for that. Let's see. Michael M says, experimental Flutter web apps only. Lots of missing functionality, i.e. no package support. So only Flutter functionality at the moment. Rifat says, I love Tech Lead, he's authentic. I know, he looks really, I know, it's kind of, it's all like, it's like tongue-in-cheek. It's like the kind of guy like you think you'd want to hang out with, and he always starts off with the drink and the coffee and everything. I like Tech Lead too. Let's see. We got Mondu. Keep your awesome stuff on YouTube. Get going, and thanks for the answers. No problem. Let's see, and I think that's it. Okay, one more. Okay, this is the last one. Chuari says, thanks for your answer. Kent C. Dobbs has some great content, mainly JavaScript. I'm looking for more meta content, people leaving their jobs, going full-time, indie app rejections, and how to find the ideas. And CH Development says, my own channel. Yeah, check out CH Development's channel too. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the same too, because it's easy, like, okay, so like if somebody's showing you how to do something, like saying this is how you code something, that's super valuable. That's like, I don't do that, right? I don't do that. But like if somebody also says you can get rich making apps, and then it's followed by sign up for my course, but they don't make apps, or like they won't go into details. They might say a little bit and they won't show you numbers. That kind of stuff, that bothers me too. And that's one of the things I keep, like on my to-do list is like I should do a course, but then I'm like thinking it's inauthentic because then you guys won't trust me anymore if I say, okay, so my course going for today only. You know, I can't believe I'm going to give this price today. You guys are so lucky. For the next 72 hours only, we are going to cut the cost of our course by 75%. I can't believe I'm doing it. And then I'll have somebody in the background say, I can't believe you're doing it. I know, I can't believe it. And it's so staged, right? That's what the internet is today, right? So that's one of the reasons why I haven't done a course. But, you know, I think it might be good to do that in the future. And one day I will. And I'm going to have to tell you guys, I have to tell you guys, look, buy it or don't buy it. Keep watching the channel, like, because that's not the kind of thing. So, and Ravi says, in terms of marketing, what works best for you? It's a big question, and it's after the bell, so I'm gonna have to say no on that one. I mean, Ravi, we have to answer that one next week, but it's a really good question, but it's a loaded question. There's so many different answers to that one. It's not an easy one to answer. And then the next 72 hours, the price goes down. I can't believe it. 72 hours? That's right. For the next 72 hours, we are going to go crazy. We're going to cut our prices by 75%. And you know what? I'm going to throw in a free gift. In fact, I'm going to throw in this PDF I wrote. Normal price $99.95. I'm going to throw it in this for free, right? So the value of this has gone up. It's going to be worth 10,000 pounds. But you can get it for $39.95 just in the next 72 hours. I can't believe we're doing this. I see that all the time. Webinars, whatever. You know the webinar is going to end that way. So anyway, everybody, thanks very much for showing up to the live stream this week. It's always fun. I need to do the live streams at the beginning of the week because it's so much fun to do this. Sorry we're off to a rough start with all the technical difficulties. God, I feel like, it was one of those days where it's just everything's going wrong, and I thought this is the worst live stream ever. But no, this is actually fun. Everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Tomorrow's video is about the Ionic framework. There's some really good stats on that if you guys tune into that. And then we'll do the next one Wednesday. And I don't know what that's going to be about yet. I'll think of something. Anyway, that's it. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk to you guys again, tomorrow or next week. All right, bye.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all